Hey guys, thanks for joining me again. This is video number 4. We're going to be talking about John chapter 9. But before we really dig into it, I want you to be aware that we're going to be talking about a blind man. Now, in this era, they would have believed that if you were blind, you were lame, you were deaf, you were sick, anything that was wrong with you physically, your health, it meant that you sinned or your parents had sinned. And this is where Jesus shuts it right down, as in this chapter, and he informs them he has not sinned. His parents did not sin. This is actually set up for the glory of God. Though I really like that, because I think a lot, even in this era, we think that if there's something wrong with us, because we did something wrong, to bring it upon ourselves. Like for me, I'm hearing impaired, and I have been since I was, I'd say maybe 2 months old. So it was really easy for me to feel that I had done something wrong, to have God curse me with taking away my hearing, when in reality he turned it into a huge blessing in my life. It taught me so many lessons that if I had been hearing, I would never have learned and would never have become strong enough to, firstly, make the move all the way to Korea. That's the first thing I want to hit on, is that if there's something wrong with you, it's not really a curse most of the time. It's something preparing you for the future, or for God helping to prepare you to be a blessing to other people because of what you're going through now. Now, this is my least favorite part, because I'm a little bit of a germaphobe. And in order for Jesus to heal this blind man, he spits in the dirt, spins it around, makes his own mud, and then puts it on the guy's eyes. Honestly, I would be running the other direction, saying I would rather be blind than have your spit on my face. But he is so desperate just to see the world that he doesn't really care, and instead he goes as far as listening to Jesus when Jesus tells him exactly where to go to wash it off, because he can't go to just any river or pond or stream. He has to go specifically to the pool of Siloam, and there he can wash it off. And as soon as he did, he had his sight, and this was amazing to him. The best part is, he didn't go around and ignore what God had given him. Oh no, instead he was very vocal and very happy to explain who did it, when it happened, and who he was, because many people recognized him and thought, hey, isn't he the guy that was begging on the street? And other people thought, no, he must have a look-alike. But this man was very quick to say, no, it's me, this guy named Jesus. He spit in the dirt and put it on my face, and now I can see. And he's so happy about this. He's so boastful that something amazing happened. And I think he can only be that way because he really did believe in who Jesus said he was. Or at least he was on his way to believing. And it's only in those moments that we can really appreciate what God has done for us and really want to share it with others. Because if we don't acknowledge who God really is, we really don't want to share those type of things with other people, because it feels sometimes awkward or maybe even intrusive to our own lives to have to tell other people that a miracle happened. And to go even further, the Pharisees were later informed that this guy Jesus, he was at it again. He was healing people on the Sabbath day. How dare he? So they brought in the man who once was blind to put him on trial, basically, and ask him what had happened. So he explained again. This is what happened. Spit, ground, mud, eyes. Washed off, I can see. It was very simple, very straightforward, but they didn't believe him even then, so they went and called his parents. Talk about feeling like a kid in school that you did something bad that mom and dad had to be called. This was the even better part, is his parents came in and said, yeah, he's our kid. He was born blind. But they didn't want to testify to the miracle that happened to their son because they feared being thrown out of the synagogue. So instead they said, he's old enough, you go talk to him, we're out of here. So they left. They took off because they feared the Pharisees and their power more than they feared what Jesus was there for or what Jesus could do. They never stood in reverence of him. So again, the blind man was called, and they asked him again, what happened? And he's going, my goodness, you people, are you deaf? You don't know how to listen? He goes, I explained this to you. Jesus, spit, ground, mix it together, dirt, eyes, wash off. I can see. It was super easy to him. He understood it. He doesn't understand why the Pharisees want him to repeat himself yet again. in the very end of this basically causes a division between the Pharisees. Some believe that Jesus had to have been a holy man at the very least, because no one who was possessed by a demon or a sinner could do miracles like this, while others still want to claim that he was a sinner or he was demon possessed and he was getting his powers from somewhere else and doing these great things. And even the blind man basically tells them what they've all been told since they were young. If you are a sinner, God will close his ears to you. And he's trying to explain to them, God listens to this man. This man speaks and it is done. This guy tells you to do something and you do it, and you come out clean, or you come out healthy, or you come out a better you. And still the Pharisees don't want to listen because, again, it's a play at power. Once you're so used to having a power in your hand, you don't really want to let it go. Whereas I think the Pharisees that were ready to let this kind of power go, who were truly searching for a Messiah to come to their rescue, those are the ones that caused the divide. That said, maybe this man is a prophet. Maybe this man is the Messiah. And by doing that, they caused a division amongst their people. I think they were better off for it. Sometimes it's better to stand together rather than divide it, but if you are all standing on the wrong side, it is better to stand divided than it is together. So let's take this a step further. In chapter 10, they actually meet with Jesus, and he explains to them very quickly about the flock, the shepherd and the gate. And he tells them that those who believe, those are the sheep, and I am the gate. If you go through me, you are the sheep as well, and you will listen to me. But if you go over the fence, then you are nothing but a thief and a robber. And as always, the Pharisees don't understand. They want a further explanation. They want more information. They want him to just give them more and more and more. Nothing short of having God himself come down from heaven and point at Jesus would have had them believing, all of them, believing that this truly was Jesus, the Son of Man, the Messiah. And so he explains again, I am the shepherd. So not only now is he the gate to get into heaven, or the gate to get into where all the rest of the sheep were, but he was also the shepherd who would call the sheep. He was the man that the sheep would follow. And nobody else would they follow, because if they heard a stranger's voice, they were to run the other direction. So there's so much more to this chapter, but as I've already told you guys, I'm going to skip ahead and get to the parts that are more story-like, because I'm more of a storyteller, less of a preacher, so I'm going to go further forward. We're going to jump right into chapter 11. This one, when I first read this, I was really confused. Probably as much as most of the people in that time, when Jesus was informed that his friend Lazarus was on his deathbed and Jesus did not move. I understand his disciples urging him, go, go, you should be with your friend because he's on his last leg. But Jesus says, no, we are going to wait here. So they stay there, and by the time that they actually do take the travel and reach to where Mary and Martha are, Lazarus' sisters, Lazarus has passed away. He has died and has already been put into his tomb. But instead of immediately going and seeing Lazarus and immediately raising him up from the dead, no, he starts with calming the sisters. He starts with mourning with them. I think it's a great way to show that when we're told that Jesus has felt everything that we can humanly possibly feel, that means that if he had gone and healed Lazarus right away, he would never have mourned. He would never have had to feel that great sadness when you've lost someone you really love. And now we know that Jesus really does understand what loss feels like. But then a few days later, he gets up and he goes to Lazarus' tomb. He asks them to roll it away, and they're all confused because, I'm sorry, he's been in there for a little while. He does not smell like roses anymore. But they oblige him. They go and they roll away the tomb, and Jesus just, casually calls out to him, Lazarus, get up, come on out, man, let's hang out, party time. And everyone's looking around like, okay, like, we know you're a great prophet, you're a great miracle worker, you are a man of God, but, like, you're going into crazy land right now. A dead man is not going to get up and walk. But there he is. Lazarus comes out, still wrapped in his burial clothes, but he's walking. He's awake. He's alive. I can't even imagine the stun of the rest of the people, let alone his family, who had just mourned him for almost a week. And now they're looking at their brother, and he's alive again. Talking about up and down week. But that was, I think, really important because it was very telling of what Jesus was going to go through himself for us. It was very much a foreshadowing, yet they obviously can't see it at this point because they're in the moment, and we get to look back and read about it, so we know what's coming. We know it's a foreshadow. It's so much easier, but in those moments you don't know what he's really doing. In either case, Lazarus lives, and Jesus proves once again, I am the Messiah. Only the Messiah can do these things. Who else do you see around here raising people from the dead, turn water to wine, healing the blind, the sick, and the lame? And yet there are still people who do not believe because their hearts are so hard. They don't want to know this God. They want to have the run of the mill. They want to rule their own life. And to them, Jesus represents somebody else sitting in the driver's seat, and you have to be the passenger and never know where you're going. And I can understand how hard that is, because for the longest time, I didn't want him driving. I wanted to do whatever I wanted to do, when I wanted to do it, and how I wanted to do it. It took me over 24 years to realize that my decisions suck. I cannot raise myself from the dead. I cannot make my life better on my own. I need the help of God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit and those around me that he's put in my life to make my life better and make it more whole. It did. It took a long time to realize that, because it is a hard lesson to learn when you realize that you're not in control. You don't have your driver's license for life. You're just gonna have to be a passenger and learn to take the turns as Jesus gives them to you, and take the bumpy roads with as much grace as possible, because in our suffering we should be rejoicing that he is building us up for something greater. And no, we're not always going to know the reason why the bad things happen, but we will always get through them as long as we have a community of Christians around us, and we've built our faith in God on the Bible, and we are continually building our relationship with him. Then we will get through the hard times. We will get through the points that we feel like we're going to break. Think of Mary and Martha. They probably thought they were going to break when they lost their brother, and yet here he is, alive, because Jesus brought him back to life. They didn't break, and instead they got stronger. So thanks again, guys, for taking the time to listen. I really enjoy making these videos, and I hope you enjoy them as well. Leave a comment if there's any specific chapter that maybe I made an oopsie on that you would like to see me revamp, or anything. Any comment would be great. Alright, I'll see you guys later.